What's up, guys? Tephrite here. For those of you guys that don't know me, I'm an Eternity Duelist main. I almost said it one above all, was just shy of it last season in Season 0. And today I wanted to give us a tier list for Season 1 because it's just come out. It's actually been like a few days now since it's come out. A lot of changes happened in the balance patches, and I wanted to actually go through and because, you know, the tier list has changed quite a lot. Some characters which were, you know, D tier have now all shot up to S tier. So yeah, I want to talk about that. Let's get right into it. We got Doctor Strange, first character. I think Doctor Strange didn't really get touched. He got his explosion kind of changed. Yeah, maybe he's not as lethal. Still the best tank in the game, in my opinion. His kit is just too well-rounded. His shield is too good. He can test high ground really well. His ult can be fight winning, or at least ult forcing. His TP is just a second ultimate, essentially. His damage output is insane. His burst output's still insane. Really, there's no downsides to him. So gonna have to put him in S tier. And next to him in S tier, I'm actually gonna be putting another one, which is Hulk. Hulk is also, these two characters are, by the way, the S tier I'm gonna put as a band tier. Hulk can just be everywhere all at once. Really hard to kill. His shields go to his entire team, so it can be like game changing. Can even like dodge ultimates with it. It's crazy. He can even block ultimates from even happening, like jumping in front of an Iron Man ult when it's happening. Shielding himself, I've seen it happen multiple times. Insane. His exile is also really, really strong. You can just completely take out a second strategist out of the fight and then dive the other strategists. They're now like helpless, essentially, can't get any heals. Not to mention his team up with both Doctor Strange and Iron Man is insanely good, giving Doctor Strange even more burst and also giving Iron Man more burst, which we'll talk about later on when we go to the duelist, but we're going to do the Vanguards first. But yeah, next up, I'm going to put Groot. Groot, I definitely underestimated last season. Putting Groot A. The only reason I'm not putting him on S tier is because in a lot of maps, he's not that great, but there's a lot of maps where he is that great. Hulk and Strange, great on every map. His ultimate's really good too. His damage output's actually surprisingly good too. But mostly the reason you pick Groot is because this bro just doesn't freaking die. Bro has so much health when his walls are up. He is unkillable. Even when you think you want him to 1 HP, bro, that 1 HP is like 200 HP. That is not 1 HP. It's insane. So for that reason, as a Vanguard, bro just doesn't die. So there's having a Vanguard that doesn't die, super important. Unfortunately, does get kind of cut up by, you know, one other character on the roster, which we'll talk about later on. But yeah, Groot also didn't get any buffs or changes. Hulk, I don't think he didn't got any buffs or changes either. Yeah, exactly. He's really good on the one Wakanda waterfall map, where you have to like sort of go through that little archway, like archway tunnel. That map is so good for Groot. There's a lot of the maps, even like payload maps, like Spider Islands. There's a lot of Spider Islands parts which are really good for Groot. But yeah. Groot 1 HP is your phone's battery on 1 HP. Exactly, bro. That's not 1 HP. That's just lost him forever. Next up, we got Captain America. Captain America did receive some buffs. I think he was C tier last time. I think that was maybe a bit too harsh. I'm willing to put him up to B tier. Maybe A tier. I'm unsure. I think I'm going to put him up B tier. I'm not seeing too many people pick him. I'm definitely seeing a bit more people pick him. But I don't think he's that good. He's definitely really, really annoying in the backline. I mean, maybe I could argue with the A tier. Maybe with the team up, with the Thor team up, he's definitely A tier actually. But without the Thor team up, I'll probably put him like high B. Damage output's still a bit lackluster. Yeah, he has faster cooldowns now. Bro doesn't die also, but for different reasons. Captain America, actually, you know, I'm gonna put him in A tier. No. Oh? No, I'm gonna put him B tier. I'm gonna put him B tier. No. We'll leave him there for now. Yeah, his survivability is really, really good. His ultimate is also really, really good. His cooldowns got buffed, so now, you know, he's pretty freaking being chilling. His damage is the only thing he's lacking. His damage does get buffed when there's Thor in the game, though. So the team up actually works out pretty well. But unfortunately, you don't get Thor in the game that much. So, or as much as you'd like. But, you know, to be honest, all the Vanguards are in a pretty good spot, personally. Next up is Magneto. Magneto, I'm going to put in A tier. Magneto was I think I underrated him last time, too. His bubble is insane. He's really, really good into dive. He's also really, really good into Wolverine. one of the only tanks that doesn't get absolutely cooked. Him and Captain America are the only tanks that don't get freaking cooked by Wolverine necessarily. I mean, Magneto still can get cooked, don't get me wrong. He also plays in double shield with Strange. Strange also being very, very good in the meta. Magneto playing double shield, one of the best comps you can play. So just straight up because of that, very good. His ultimate's very, very good for countering other ultimates like Star-Lords, like Punishers. You know, like being able to just like absorb all that damage. Very, very good. So I put Magneto up in A tier. Next up, we have Penny Parker. Penny Parker probably put in B tier. Yeah, I put below Captain America. I think in a similar stage to Groot. Like she's good against flankers, right? She's good against melee characters, not even flankers, just melee characters. She's good at she can use her webs to stop ultimates. That's really, really good, and catch flankers off too. She's really, really good on maps like defense maps or like, you know, payload maps where you have to push into her mines. Really, really good on those maps. Sometimes she's also good on Dominion too. I know one of the the Hydra map, I can't remember exactly where the point is. She's pretty good on that point too. But you know, other than that, I don't see her being used as I don't see her being as useful as any of the other tanks, especially like, you know, I'd rather have all the other tanks being picked. Captain America maybe is on the same level as her, I'd say, in that regard. But yeah, I don't think Penny also received any buffs, so she's kind of just like sort of mid-tier for me. Next to mid-tier, I probably would put Thor also, but I'd probably put Thor above all of these. Thor's team up with Captain America, really, really good. Thor's team up also with Storm is really, really good. Giving her, you know, just the amount of damage that he can, you know, transfer over to these guys. Very, 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 very useful. His own damage himself, you know, using his awakened form is insane. The burst you can 2-3 tap people, squishies, crazy shit. His ultimate did get buffed. His ultimate was the worst thing about him. His ultimate was absolutely terrible. But now you can't interrupt it. So it does go off, does deal a lot of damage. It's actually not trash now. So he's definitely, you know, he's not bad now. He's definitely not bad. He's also really good at peeling. But unfortunately, you know, it's just, he doesn't have the bubble that Magneto has. He doesn't have the shields like Strange or Magneto also. He doesn't grant any shields or any like assistance to his team besides peel. So for that reason, I'm going to put him in B. Next up in the final Vanguard on the list is Venom. Venom did get a significant buff to his shields. I actually don't know where I'm going to put Venom. I'm not sure if I'm going to put him high B or low A. I think I'm tempted to put him... Ooh. I think I'm going to put him high B. Probably high B. His buffs did help him out quite a bit. I think before he was like low B, maybe C. Maybe I'd even put him in A, to be honest. I haven't seen too much of Venom, if I'm being honest. These two tanks are just you know, the other tanks are just so dependent in the meta right now, or so dominant, sorry, in the meta right now. But yeah, Venom is still pretty good. You could definitely still play him at like a high level. You know, he just lives forever. Classic case, similar to Groot. His damage output is pretty good too. Works well with Spider-Man. Unfortunately, Spider-Man's kind of doo-doo right now. Works well with dive characters in general, to be honest. So yeah, but most of the thing is he just lives, baits out stuff, and unfortunately, the reason he's not higher on the list is purely because of the strategists that are meta currently, which we'll go into later on. But next up, we're going to be going into the duelists. That's all the Vanguards on the list. I'd argue maybe Penny go C, maybe, but because she's way too map dependent. And realistically, the only reason that I find her really, really freaking annoying is because I play Spider-Man, who's a melee character who can't really destroy her nest. If I pick Psylocke, she's no problem to me at all. But you do see a lot of her. So I'll probably put her like... I'll put her B. I'll just kill her B. But yeah, now for the duelists. First up, we have the Black Panther. Black Panther did get nerfed this patch. It has shields that he gets, and the maximum shields he can get from his dashes, or his dash reset, should I say. A bit, like, you know, it's not as much. I think it got nerfed to like 75, and it was like 200 or something. It was crazy. It's quite a big nerf to his survivability, but I think his damage is still really, really good. I'm tempted to put him in A tier still, just because of his damage. His burst, he can one-shot like 250 HP targets. I think actually he might be able to one-shot 275 too. I'm not too sure about that though. His ultimate's still kind of It's still all things considered though, he's probably one of the best melee characters in the game right now. Just purely because of his AoE potential. You know, you can put down a mark and you can just dash through everybody. And, just, you know, cover everybody with damage. Same with your spin kick, you know. Cover everybody with that damage too. Mr. Fantastic's my favorite Vanguard. Yeah, but we'll get to Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman later on. Yeah, for sure, for sure. I'll probably move him over here then. He's technically a duelist. But yeah. So for Black Panther, I think he's still really, really good. His damage output's still the same. His survivability has just been hit a bit. So, yeah, fair enough. Next up, Black Widow. I think she's still D tier. I'm not gonna lie to you, dude. A character like Black Widow, unfortunately, can either be broken or terrible. And that's based on whether they can one-shot. And since Black Widow still cannot one-shot, I think she's still terrible. Her ultimate, slightly better. Sure. Help her confirm kills, or like help her get them a bit low and confirm the kill. Her peel's still pretty good, like when she gets dove. It can still be very annoying. I think it's just a case of it being annoying because people don't play against her much, so people don't know how to deal with it as much because she's just so bad. There's no point. Her stamina did get improved a lot. She can run around like a freaking Olympic sprinter, and or Olympic runner, should I say. Jumping quite a lot. That's pretty good. Is it enough to make her a good character, in my opinion? Still, probably not. I don't think so. I think she still remains in D, unfortunately. Still the worst character in the game, in my opinion. Next up is somebody who used to be a must-ban pick in High ELO. Or must-ban or pick in High ELO. Hawkeye. So last time I had him in S tier. Hawkeye now received some significant nerfs to his damage and his sort of like his drop off, I guess, from where you can charge it from a distance. Now I don't think he's S tier. I think he's A tier. I think he's still better than Black Panther. He still has really good damage, don't get me wrong. But now it's easier to, you know, the tanks can breathe now. The Vanguards can breathe when they're actually trying to go into a site and not just get freaking almost two-tapped by freaking Hawkeye. Same with the DPS or the duelist, sorry. They can almost get one-tapped. I mean, they still can get one-tapped, but I just can't get one-tapped across the map because of the range change. I think the changes have been good to him. Or not good to him, but like, you know, they keep him. I think he's still a really good pick. I just don't think he's ban-worthy anymore. Especially because there's characters like Psylocke who are still really good. That shouldn't get touched at all. And she plays so well into him. So yeah. I think, yeah, there are characters that keep him in check. And I think the way you know now is that he's not broken is that the only way you can kill him other ways than just picking Hawkeye and diffing him on Hawkeye. That's how you know a character's broken and needs to be banned. And speaking of the diffs, we have Hela next. Hela also was in S tier, like Hawkeye. I dare say she was worse than Hawkeye purely because she is just so much damage and she can two-tap. She still can two-tap. It's a lot harder now. But also, she's just so safe. She has her crow, which makes her invulnerable essentially, and you know, omnidirectional. The stun, still the same. Her ultimate still gives her invulnerability frames and also gives her a second life and also gives her enough time to regenerate her cooldowns so she can use her bird again when she comes out of it. So there really wasn't any downsides. Now, in my opinion, is she still S tier ban worthy? And I'm unsure if I will keep her in the S tier. I think I'm tempted to say no, and put it down to A. She's still, don't get me wrong, she's still getting banned a lot in high elo. But in saying this, I don't think that the Hela's being picked when she's not banned have, you know, just absolutely run away with the game. So that's where my stance is on it. You can argue that maybe she's still ban worthy. I still ban her sometimes, especially if my team wants to ban her. I'm happy to ban her. One less thing to worry about essentially for me. But do I think that she's you know still as good as she was? No, I don't think so. The fact that she's 250 HP and also she got a damage nerf means that flankers are now a lot better into her. You know, I mean, just like straight up because Venom got buffed. Spider-Man can now one-shot her with Venom team up. Does that happen often? That's more of a Spider-Man issue, I think. She's still a menace for sure. I think people have gotten a lot better at negating her ult and knowing how to survive her. That is also true, yes. Her ultimate hasn't been as impactful too. I forgot to mention that too. When she does ult, she also can two-tap people. But yeah, I think she's still a menace. I don't think she's... Like, I think she's still the best DPS outside of the ban list. But I just don't think she's a must ban. She's still bannable. Like, these characters still get banned. Like, Hela, Hawkeye, Black Panther, these characters still get banned. Right. Next up. Oh, Serpent Sniper. Thanks for the follow, man. Much appreciated. Welcome in, man. But yeah, next up is Iron Fist. Iron Fist received no changes. And for that, I'm going to put him in C tier. There we go. Yeah, I'm going to put him in C tier. I think he's still... There's still situations you can pick him and it'll still work. But I think he's still kind of dookie. He plays like he doesn't really play like an assassin like you'd think. He plays more like an off tank, like an off tank essentially. So just off tanks are in a really weird situation right now. I think also his damage, because we're in still such a heavy sustained meta, you need burst damage, and unfortunately Iron Fist's damage just, you know, gets shunned away. Unless he's got his ult up, then he can do some serious damage. Other than that, outside of his ultimate, he's kind of mediocre. Why would you ever pick him kind of situation. Next up, we have Iron Man. Now, Iron Man is a weird one, because Iron Man is really dependent on his team up, in my opinion. If Iron Man gets his team up, he's S tier. Now, if Iron Man doesn't get his team up, I think he's A tier. I'll probably put him there. Yeah, Iron Man is also very good into Black Panther. But yeah, I think mostly it's dependent on the Hulk team up. If you're getting a Hulk in your game, Iron Man is insane, and Iron Man should be there. Is he ban worthy though? If you're gonna ban someone from the team up, ban Hulk, because you also ban the Strange team up too. And also I think Hulk is just more of a menace than Iron Man can be. There's also a lot of flyer counters in the game right now. So take that what you will. He did get a buff too, so he's a bit more evasive. But yeah, that's my thoughts there. Next up, you got Magic. Magic, I would argue, is either C or B. I'll probably put her in... She's better than Iron Fist for sure. I'll probably put her B. She's not as good as Black Panther in my opinion. Maybe it's situational. She can still be pretty good. Her ultimate got buffed. Her dash got buffed, so she does. I think does more damage now. Her burst is still really, really good. Her ultimate's still a bit underwhelming, but I think it's still pretty good anyways. But yeah, I think you know, you can definitely do work on her. Is she ban worthy? Definitely not. I would never see. The only time I've seen her banned is when they know there's a magic one trick on the enemy team and it's just a target ban. Otherwise, I wouldn't ever think about banning Magic. And just purely because if I were to see it, like compare it to these characters up here, I don't think Magic is on the same level as these characters. Very close to Black Panther, maybe a bit lower, but yeah, I don't know. Next up is Moon Knight. Moon Knight is very comp dependent, I think. He's between A and B. I'm tempted. I think I'm gonna put him high B. His damage is really good. His ultimate now with the like the buff that it got, that it's like now bigger. It guarantees a kill, maybe even two. just because of that, pretty good. His burst is also still really insane with his Onk. You know, throwing down his Onk using the right click, left click combo. Crazy stuff. Crazy damage. Into comps, like cluster comps, like comps that like to like huddle up. He's really, really good. He's really good into Namor too. Really good into Penny. Really good into you know, just a lot of like comps that like to like, yeah, just stay together. So I think he's still pretty good. But I wouldn't put him on the same level as these characters, I think. I still don't think he's like... He might be ban-worthy. I think he's just not ban-worthy right now. But another character who is ban-worthy is Namor, who I would say is A tier. Namor got a buff this patch. His squids come out a bit faster. But also his team up with Luna got buffed. And that is a major thing because it does more damage. And he was already a menace to a lot of flankers, like, you know, Black Panther, like Spider-Man, like Psylocke. Maybe not as much Psylocke because she's ranged. But his damage is also really, really good. He still has one of the only ultimates in the game. Actually, I forgot to mention this about Iron Man. He's one of the only ultimates in the game that can burst and kill through Luna, Mantis, and Sue, and Cloak ult. Through all these ults. These characters, these two characters, I think there's like, there might be one more. There's Wanda too. But yeah, very few characters can burst and kill through these ults. And because those characters are so good right now, it's very, very important. Also, yeah, like I said, very good into dive characters. Very good damage too. It's just like straight primary fire. It does pretty good damage too. Honestly, last season we saw him as like a sort of pseudo replacement to Hela and Hawkeye when they were banned. He's the next up as a sniper. Still good. His bubble's also really good for keeping him safe from being dove if like I said, goes into dive. And now with him being buffed, he's even more of a menace to Spider-Man, which is my main. So I'm putting him as A. I think he's still a really good character. But people were obsessed with Iron Fist at launch, but now no one plays him. Yeah, I think it's because people didn't know how to counter it, and now people know how to counter him, and he's not very good. Luna's so common in ranked, and it buffs Namor so much. Yeah, I say Namor without his without the team up is A. With the team up is probably S. He can be really, really good. He's really, really good. I mean, I'm tempted to even put him in S, to be honest, but I'll put him in A. Probably put him like there. Next up is Psylocke. And Psylocke is also one of my characters that I play a lot, which I'll either put in S or put in A. The other way around, S or A. I'm not too sure. Psylocke works really, really well into these characters. Like, she looks really well into Namor, really well into Hawkeye, into Hela. Really well into tanks too, because she just does so much DPS. It's crazy. Really good into characters like with big hitboxes, like I said. Punisher also really, really good into... You know, takes out Namor's turrets. Really actually good into an Iron Man. She just takes the high ground and just starts spewing at him. Really, really good. Her burst is just insane. Her ultimate's really good too. Guarantees a kill, or at least guarantees forcing an ultimate. It's a bit buggy at times, but I mean, hey, that's just the game sometimes. I think she actually might be ban-worthy. I think there are characters that are more ban-worthy than her, so I wouldn't put her like at the top of the ban list. I don't think the ult changes actually nerfed her too much. Because the way it works is the way the ult works is it targets the character and then it targets the shield and then targets the character. You know how it like has slashes? Every other slash, it'll be hitting a character. Obviously, depends on the character she goes into. Like if there's a Hulk saving a shield, kind of tough. Then it just comes out to the matchup and plays. I still think she's really good. I don't think there's a scenario where you can't pick Psylocke. I think that's another thing for these characters up here. There's not a scenario where you can pick these characters and it's a bad idea, because they just work every map into every comp. Yeah. Next up is Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch did get some buffs. And unfortunately, I don't think they did that much for her. I'll be real. She's still C tier. She might have been D tier last time, but she's C tier right now. Once again, similar situation to Iron Fist. It's a meta about sustain, and like Wanda's damage is very slow. She doesn't do Scarlet Witch. Sorry, should I say not Wanda, because some people don't know who that is. Scarlet Witch is still she still does a lot of damage. She can still do a lot of damage. The thing is, it's very slow damage. It's tickle damage. Yeah, she has her slices that she can do, which does more damage. So team up with Magneto is also pretty decent. But it's decent. That's about it. It's not like amazing. It's pretty decent, not like it was in the beta. But yeah, I think it's just the nature of her character. I think just because the way the character works, I don't think she'll ever be higher than B. Unless she does some absurd damage, then she'll be jumping up. But yeah, I think otherwise, that's where I'd put her. And now next up is my main character, just Spider-Man. And last time I put him in B tier. Last time I was pretty confident that, you know, he had good lethality. If you knew his combos, you know how to play him well. There's a lot of things that counter him, like Namor, for example. Hela, Hawkeye were really good into him. Psylocke's also pretty good into him. There's a lot of tanks or Vanguards were really good into him. Magneto kind of stops his dive. You know, Thor can peel him. Captain can peel him. So there's a lot of things. Also, Penny's really good into him. But this patch, he got a bug fix, which is essentially a shadow nerf. So now his lethality has gone to the dogs, and he's not that good anymore. Or he's not as good as he used to be, which wasn't that good to begin with. Last patch, I thought he needed buffs. I think I spoke about him needing buffs. So now I'm putting him high C. I think he can still work. I'm seeing a lot more Spider-Man players in high ranks. Why I say that? The ranks still haven't like stabilized yet. But yeah, I'm still like, I think top 1% of players right now in ranked. But yeah, Spider-Man, unfortunately, the lethality is gone. If you have Venom, you got the lethality back, sure, for like 250 HP targets. But outside of that, his ultimate gets interrupted by like everything under the sun. His damage isn't great. It wasn't great to begin with, and now it's even worse. Because they got rid of his burst. The best thing I could do, I would say, for Spider-Man is to give him faster cooldowns. Hopefully that'll help buff him up a bit. Or maybe give him like refunded web clusters. That'll help him out a lot. But unfortunately, until then, I think he's just going to remain in C. There's just too many things that are just good into him. All the strategists are good into him too. Luna Snow sees that, can freeze him, and also has a lot of self-sustain. Her ultimate is insane too, lasts 12 seconds. Mantis is asleep the size or radius of a freaking moon. You can't miss the sleep. It's insane. Invisible Woman can just go invisible. Her pull also pulls you out of the sky, which is insanely good and can screw up your web swings. They even added Mr. Fantastic, who's also really good into him too. Yeah, there's just a lot of characters that are just really, really good into him right now. And unfortunately, he doesn't get the edge. Even on the characters he counters, like Iron Man and Storm and stuff, like Flyers, he's not even good into them either. Unless you have Venom. Then he's okay. Okay. Keep in mind, because then when you get to higher ranks and there's Luna Snow pocketing them, or it's just somebody pocketing them, expecting you to engage, you can't even kill them anyway. So there you go. There's that. Next up is Squirrel Girl, who actually is a team up with Spider-Man. And Squirrel Girl, funnily enough, has climbed the ranks. I think she's now B tier. Maybe it's situational depending on the map. You could argue C tier for some maps. I'd say lowest of B tier. The buffs to her ult definitely were good in my opinion. I think you're seeing a lot more people afraid of the ultimate. It gets a lot more kills than it did before. Her damage was always pretty good. I mean, if you're landing your shots, you can like chunk people, especially on Yggdrasil, or Ixgard, sorry. Dude, her damage is just insane. In these close quarter, like, you know, areas, Her root is also really good into flankers. You root somebody, even into non-flankers. You just root somebody out of position, they are dead no matter what. Because you have high burst. If anybody even as much as looks at them, they're gonna die with the extra damage. It's quite insane. It's quite insane. I don't think she's higher. Maybe it's situational depending on the comp that she's going up against. Yeah, she's not that good into flyers. I mean, she's okay, but she's, you know, it's a projectile, a very slow projectile, kind of hard to hit flyers. Her ultimate doesn't hit flyers either. And we're in a bit of a flyer meta kind of currently. So, bit hit or miss. Her burst damage is really good though, so that's definitely a plus for her. Next up is Star-Lord, and Star-Lord I think is up there with the ban list. Star-Lord's team up with Adam Warlock and Mantis is really good, getting a free res whenever you want. His ultimate is a fight-winning ultimate anyways. His base damage is also really, really good. He can build his ultimate really quickly too with his spin shots thingy. He's also quite evasive with that too. And on top of all that, he's got his dashes, which are insane because he becomes invulnerable when he's doing them. So you can't be CC'd, you can't take damage. Which means that, once again, characters like Spider-Man, who must take him out, you just dash his damage, you dodge everything. You can even dash ultimates. Crazy. Absolutely absurd. Honestly, I'd argue Star-Lord might be the best DPS, best duelist in the game right now. I actually put him above Psylocke. Once again, I don't think there's a situation where you can pick Star-Lord and it won't work out. Or it's a bad idea to pick Star-Lord. There's good situations to pick Star-Lord, and there's great situations to pick Star-Lord. He's really, really good into flyers too. He flies himself. He's quite evasive, so like all things considered, Star-Lord is like he's insane. He's insane. Speaking of the flyer meta though, we're going to move on to Storm. And Storm, I think, with all the buffs, she's S tier. The damage buff that she gets with Thor also is insane. But alone, she got increased damage on her primary fires. She got, I think, more damage boosts. Or I'm not exactly sure. She got faster fire rate for sure. You know, I think they might have buffed her a bit too much. Her projectile size is insanely big. It's really hard to miss with her now. But yeah, I think she's still good. I think Storm is good, but is kept in check by Hela and Hawkeye. But if they get banned, Storm goes crazy. I think honestly, you don't even like that's what we thought initially. But I think even when they're not banned, Storm sort of plays ground level, even though it's a flyer meta. Same with Iron Man. You don't play too high up in the sky because then you're open and you're exposed. If you play behind cover, sort of peeking around, playing next to your strategists, especially like if you're able to abuse your strategist's ult. Her ult, speaking of, is insanely good. It's either a team fight win or it's you force strategist ult. And even so, when you force the ult, you're not even in danger. You're forcing the ult and you're backing out. You can back out because you just move so fast. You also get overhealth when you do use your ultimate. So yeah, obviously Spider-Man Venom does work well into Storm, but still she can be such a menace. When she's in melee range, you try Diver with her empowerment up. You ain't killing her. You're just gonna get zapped, auto zapped. Just cleave damage too, which is insanely good. So yeah, I mean, all things considered, Storm is really, really freaking good. How do you survive a Storm ult? You have to ult. You have to use Mantis ult, Luna ult, you know, one of those kind of ultimates. Otherwise you're dying. And it's really hard to like kill her in it too because of the amount of overhealth she gets. Next up is Punisher, who I think is still pretty good, especially if you get a Rocket team up. Punisher is still pretty good. He's not broken. I think he's pretty in check. You know, he's got high damage. Shotgun's still pretty decent. It's the team up which really makes him really good. I've seen more Punishers. I said this last time. I've seen more Punishers die in their ultimate than actually win a fight with her ultimate. But honestly, I think it's still a pretty good ultimate. all things considered, 300 HP target too, kind of hard to kill. He does have a massive hitbox, and like I said, Psylocke's pretty good to him. Storm's also pretty good to him too. Well, okay, she's a flyer, so she gets kind of countered, like pseudo countered by Punisher, but she can still burst him pretty fast. Gets 600, 700 health during her ultimate. That's crazy. All my team gets wiped every time she ults. That is also crazy. Yeah, Storm is in a really, really good situation right now. A really good spot right now. 100%. But yeah, Punisher, I think, is still really, really good. The team up is really what's saving him, I think. I think if there was no team up, he'd probably be in B tier, but the Rocket team up is really, really good. Speaking of who shares that team up with Punisher is Winter Soldier, who I think is still pretty good. He got some buffs this patch. Do I think he's better or worse than Punisher? I think outside of the team up, he's better than Punisher, but with the team up, I think Punisher is better than him. I think Punisher benefits a lot more from the team up than Bucky does, or than Winter Soldier does. But yeah, the amount of shields he gets back is insane. His ultimate is still pretty good. Yeah, I can get countered by Luna Mantis ults, stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's still pretty I think he's still pretty good. Yeah, high damage, his hook, he is basically a hook bot. The way you play him is you try to get a hook, you get the hook, you dash them back into your team, and then you just focus them down until they can die. And then you just wait for your hook again. Punisher has a bit more of a uptime than that. So yeah, I'll put him in both in A tier. And I think also joining them, ooh. You know what? Winter Soldier's primary is pretty strong, 100%, but I think Punisher benefits more from the team up than he does. But don't get me wrong, Winter Soldier still benefits quite a lot from the team up. It's just I think Punisher benefits more. Next up is Wolverine. And Wolverine, I actually don't know where I'm going to put him. Because honestly, I'm tempted to say he's S tier. I'm really tempted to say he's S tier. But there's also an argument for him to be A tier. Maybe, you know what? I think I'll put him A tier actually. You know what? I'll put him high A tier. Yeah, I think... Yeah. Wolverine is really one of those characters where people didn't know how to play him. And then they realized he's really, really freaking good into tanks. He's really, really good into Strange, into Hulk, into Groot, into Venom, into Penny, into Thor. The only tank of Vanguards he's not really good into is Captain America and Magneto. And even then he can still get value. But honestly, at that point, I would rather a team just swap off the triple duelist and have one Vanguard. Because he just does so much for you, for his team. He's S tier only if the enemy team has good tanks. That is true. Yo, Sotero, thank you for the follow, man. Much appreciated. Welcome in, man. But yeah, I think Wolverine does way too much damage. They buffed him this patch, by the way. And now he has 350 health. Absolutely criminal behavior. Coming in and buffing Wolverine when he was already pretty good. But here we are. Yeah, I think Wolverine's still really, really good. But like I said, he's good into comps which are like have two tanks. You go one tank, he's not that great. He's still pretty good. I think he's still like up there. But his gimmick becomes a bit eh. Because his gimmick is, you know, just go behind a tank, go behind a Vanguard, dash him, kidnap them. Job done, you know what I'm saying? And you slice them up into your team. But yeah, I think he's still really, really good. And now finally for the duelists, we have the newest addition to the roster, which is Mr. Fantastic. And I actually have not sure where to put him. I think Mr. Fantastic... I think people still need to figure him out. I think we're having another Wolverine situation where we don't know what he's good at. Right now, the only thing I know he's good at is living. His ultimate is terrible. He can peel. He's basically Thor. But I think with less bursts. I think he's just really good at living. He can absorb damage really good. He can turn into his like big tank mode. Very, very good. He can peel, like pull people back. Really, really good. But other than that, I think he's kind of mid. I think he's good into Spider-Man. I think he's good into dive because he can literally, you know, belly bump whoever the fuck is getting dove and just give them shields. Especially with the suit team up. He's really good. He's pretty good with the suit team up. But I think probably B tier is probably where I'd put him. I mean, there's an argument to put him maybe in C tier. But I think he's just better than Spider-Man. I think he's better than all these characters. But I'll probably put him B tier. I think he's kind of mid. I think he's kind of Mr. Mid. He's not Mr. Fantastic. He's Mr. Mid. Next up is the strategists. That's all for the duelists. Yeah, we just finished them off. And now we're going to strategists. And here we have, starting us off, is Adam Warlock. And Adam Warlock, I think I'd probably put him... A tier. I definitely misjudged him last time. His damage output's really good. His burst output's really good. His burst healing is really good into dive, especially. He's really good with Mantis and Star-Lord. As I mentioned, Star-Lord being really, really good. Mantis is also really good right now. So giving those two characters basically a free res. Crazy. His ultimate also reses everybody so they get technically 2 reses. His soul bond, yes, is also really good into dive. I think he's still a really good character. I wouldn't put him in S tier purely because his ultimate isn't... Well, his healing isn't as high as like Luna or whatever, but his ultimate isn't a defensive ultimate. And unfortunately, right now, we're in such a big sustain meta, I think, that Adam just sort of like falls off a bit there. But if you play into triple strategist comps, Adam Warlock can be pretty good. But next up, we have Cloak and Dagger, who also got buffed. Their ultimate now has 4 charges instead of 3, so you can dash 4 times instead of 3 times. That's really strong. Her ultimate was already pretty good. I say her because I just see Dagger. Their ultimate's pretty good anyways, but yeah, their damage is also pretty good. Like their burst damage with the vulnerability window thing. I actually can't remember what it's called. Her bubble got buffed too, has a shorter cooldown now. That is also really good. Like overall, Cloak and Dagger got a really, really big buff. I'm tempted to put her in, put them in S, and put them in the band section, but I think I'm putting them in A, like the highest of A. I think that's probably where I'd put them, the highest of A. Oops. I don't think they're on the same level as the other strategists, but I think she's like really, really good. I still think she's really, really good. Like she's just shy of it. I think if Luna or Mantis were to get nerfed, unfortunately, they just got a slap on the wrist this patch. If Luna or Mantis gets nerfed, she's taking their spot, I think. That's my opinion. But yeah, that might change as the meta evolves. Not sure. But that's where I see her right now. She's got great utility. She can even dodge ultimates too with her freaking cloak. Or with her cloak. Like, got good, decent burst damage at least. Or at least get them to back off. The orb's pretty good. Ult's pretty good. Healing's pretty good. Like, She also, I think, has the fastest charging ultimate in the game. And yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Because you're basically invulnerable in it. When you ulti with Dagger and no one is following you, that is tough. That does suck. It does suck. It is still hard to see on the ground, though. I will say that much. I think they still need to buff that. But yeah. Next up is Jefferson. Mr. Jeff. Jeffo the Land Shark. In our hearts, he's S tier. I personally hate him because I can't kill him. But unfortunately, Jeff lacks everything but healing. His ult also got nerfed, or should I say adjusted? It was not really a nerf. But I think I'm going to put him in C tier. I think he literally just has healing. That's the only thing going for him. His ultimate can be countered by so many things in the cost. It's crazy. Like, he doesn't do much damage. He doesn't have any utility for his team unless you count his freaking bubble speed boost as utility, which I don't think is enough. Yeah, the only thing he does is heal. And sometimes, and honestly, there are other characters that do better healing than him. I'm not even gonna lie. He loves everything but the ability to run away, exactly. The only thing Jeff is good at is not dying, because he literally just goes underneath his thingy, underneath the world, he swims around, and he just freaking bubbles himself, and he just heals. He doesn't have as much of an impact in the game. 15 hours on Jeff right now, and I can drop 40 kills in a game with at least 20k healing. Maybe he's unknown, maybe he's undiscovered yet. I'd be surprised because he's quite a popular character. But that's my take on him. I don't think Jeff's very good. I think all the other characters just give so much more. Like Adam Warlock, you know, gives reses, gives a damage reduction, does way more damage than Jeff. Luna Snow has a freeze, way more healing, pierce damage, best ultimate in the game. Mantis has her sleep, damage boosts, also has good healing, and also her ultimate is pretty insane as well. Rocket has his res beacon. Invisible Woman has her pull. Cloak and Dagger has her cloak and has the cloak and the damage increase. What it's called again. But yeah, her ultimate's also really good. Jeff just really doesn't hold a candle to them. He just doesn't. Now people are used to his ult. His ult gets outshined by other strategist ults. Yeah, exactly. There it is. If you try to do damage as Jeff, you die. And also the thing about his ult is that you're ulting, which means you're underground and you're going for a big bite, right? Oh, in that entire time, your team is not getting healed. Which means that now suddenly the enemy team has an advantage. So if you don't get a massive eat, you are throwing the fight. Yeah, that's what I put Jeff. Next up is Loki. Loki, I think I treated too harshly last time too. I think I put him too low. I think Loki's still pretty good. I still think he's really dependent on who's in the game. I think he thrives in triple strategist comps. And especially in comps where there's like Luna or Mantis, you get a free defensive ult. So you can get 3 defensive ults in the game, which is absurd. Absurd. Is he bannable? No. Is he A tier? I don't think so either. I'd probably put him in B tier. I think he's still really good. His damage can be really good too, actually, surprisingly. Healing is good. In high ELO though, those clones just disappear so quickly. They're just so quickly. You have to be really on top of it. Yeah, I think he's good, but I think probably B tier is probably where I'd put him to. Yeah, I think B tier is probably good. Next up is the best strategist in the game, I still think, because they didn't freaking touch her from last season for some reason. Which is Luna. And she's going in S tier. She's just flying up to the S tier. Which is kind of a mini defensive ult. Yes, exactly. He's really good into dive too because of that. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Loki, in my opinion, relies so much on the enemy team. If the enemy actually focuses your clones, then it really hurts Loki, and you can't control what your enemy does. Yeah, for sure. Loki without his clones does no healing, no damage. His lamp's still pretty good though, all things considered. But yeah, I still think he's lacking in other departments. I think Loki is this far down though, not because he's bad, but because other strategists are just so good. That's a common theme in this tier list, to be honest. But yeah, speaking of too good, Luna Snow. Everything about Luna's kit is insane. Her base healing is insane. You need a reload? Oh, don't worry, I'll just pop my hands for you and I'll start clapping and heal you. And also pierce the enemy at the same time with an insane hitbox, so I can do insane amounts of damage and healing at the same time. I also can put my my snowflake on you, so that if you're out of my range, don't worry, you're still getting healed by me, broski. Don't you worry about that. That's so good with flankers like Psylocke, like Spider-Man, like Black Panther. You know, you just keep them healed. Even flyer characters like Storm, like Iron Man. If Spider-Man tries to engage on them, or anyone tries to engage on them, they're just getting healed up. So they like, it also burst heals them. So if you heal the person who's snowflaked, you get burst healed. She has a freeze so that she can, you know, stop people from diving her, like Venom, like Cap, like, you know, all these characters, like Panther. And on top of all that, all those abilities, when she needs to, when she uses them, she also gets self-healing. So she heals herself from with all that too. And to top it all off, the main reason she gets banned. Oh wait, besides, I forgot to mention, her team up with Namor, disgusting, gives such a big slow to an auto-aimed turret. And also pretty good damage. But the reason she gets banned all the time is because she pauses the game for 12 seconds. Her ultimate is an insane heal and also insane damage boost that lasts for 12 seconds. You get a Loki to copy you, that is 24 seconds. You're running triple strategists. My guy, you have paused the fight for 32 seconds. 32 seconds. That is insane. What? A round is 4 minutes, just to put it into perspective. A round is 4 minutes. You can pause the game for about a third of it. Like, what? What? Oh, okay. Yeah, so Luna's ult is insane, and the only thing they touched on her for some reason this patch was the little switch thing, so you could get the damage boost and the healing at the same time. Brother, yeah, that was cool, and you get epilepsy when you look at it, but oh my god, everything about her is just insane. She's just insane. She's just insane. Something needs to be done. We need to put a stop to this. I hate having to ban Luna every game, especially because of freaking Namor, and I can't play any flankers because that bitch just freaking focuses me all the time. It's insane. She is the star of the show. Rant over. No ammo, press left shift and clap, and I'm full pen ammo. There you go. Yeah, exactly. Insane healing, multi-healing with Snowflake, insane ult, good CC, can get back to point quick. She also has her skates. I didn't even freaking mention the skates, dude. Oh my god. She can get back to point so quickly, dude. And she's a team up with Iron Fist too, and I team up with Jeff too. She's got insane team ups, let me be real. Right. Second best, honestly, I think it's a bit of a tie between her and Cloak, but I think she just about edges Cloak, which is Mantis. I think Mantis is still really, really good. Mantis also didn't really get changed at all. Her speed boost apparently got changed. I think either her damage boost or her damage got changed very slightly, but in all things considered, it's a slap on the wrist. Mantis barely got changed. So if she was S tier before, she's still gonna be S tier now. And once again, having two defensive ultimates, just Luna Mantis, you're pausing the fight for 20 seconds. What is that? So like, yeah, I mean, having double defensive ults is really, really good, and it really changes the fight. Especially Mantis can like shoot while she's in her ultimate. Another thing with Mantis is her sleep hitbox, like I mentioned earlier, is the size of the moon. And you can't miss that. There's no way you're missing Mantis. If you're missing Mantis sleep, I think you need to check yourself, brother. Because Mantis sleep is insanely easy to hit. Way too easy to hit, in fact. Her damage boost is really good too. Her healing can be a bit better. Like her self healing. So she's not that great with that. I say can be better. She doesn't need a buff. Please don't buff her. All the people in S tier need nerfs. All of them need nerfs. But yeah, that's a bit about Mantis. Still really, really good. And also, I forgot to mention the team up with Adam Warlock. She gets a res. Oh yes, that's what we love. An S tier character getting another res. Her, Adam Warlock, and Star-Lord. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Yeah, exactly. Especially on the enemy Spider-Man. Oh yeah, dude. I think when it comes to comparing Mantis and Luna, Mantis does more damage, but she can still be pretty easily killed during her ult, and it doesn't last nearly as long. That is true. Yes, it's like a sacrifice. Mantis does a lot, like so much damage. Especially she does as much damage as a duelist. I say that even though there's people like Spider-Man in the freaking tier list as a duelist. But yeah, she's basically the DPS version of Luna. Yes, she doesn't output as much healing. Her ultimate isn't as good because Luna also gets CC immune, by the way, and can't be rooted either. Jeff can actually eat Mantis in her ultimate. He can't eat Luna in her ultimate. But yeah, I mean, she also damages herself too, and she's got the movement speed, yeah, which did get nerfed. But honestly, I don't even know if that was like such a big deal, realistically. Next up, we got Rocket. Rocket, I'm actually not sure. I think Rocket does suffer from the same thing Jeff does, which is basically heal bot. His damage isn't that great. I've seen Rockets in High ELO do like fucking 100 damage per game. Crazy stuff. But I don't think he's as bad as Jeff because of his res beacon. And also, ooh. His team up with Winter Soldier and Punisher is also really, really good. Yeah, his res beacon is really what makes him shine. I think if he didn't have his res beacon, he'd be like C tier or D tier. Hard to say if I'd put him in A tier. I might consider putting him in A tier. Same with Loki. Both of these two might be A tier. They might be B tier. But I remember when I was a game where a Rocket dropped 34 kills and 20k damage, but like 300 healing. Wait, what? But yeah, the thing with Rocket also, yeah, exactly, is his dashes. He's one of the few strategists that cannot be dove. You try dive, like, okay, Cloak can put down her orb down, sure. And obviously Luna and Mantis get at their CC. But you can actually do the damage to them. Rocket just dashes away from you. And then, okay, dashes again because he's got 2 charges. And then, oh, he just climbed a wall. And now you can't catch him because he's on the freaking wall. And also, he jumps off the wall. He hovers down. He hovers down. He is so unkillable. He's on the same level of unkillable as Jeff. When I play flankers, I literally ignore the fuck out of him. What is the point? What is the point? I do my damage, he just dashes away. High and low elo, the rockets aren't as quick, but dude, as soon as you try to engage on a rocket, that guy's out. He's outie. He's outie, bro. His bro's out. Yeah, his survivability is insane. He also has self-heal, by the way, so when he dashes, and you did some damage to him, you thought maybe you're chunking him down, maybe you go for a second engage. No, he just self-heals. He just self-heals. Okay. Rant over. Team-up group's ass, though. I'm not gonna lie. I hate the team-up group. Just throwing that out there. Now, finally, the final person on this tier list, the final strategist on this tier list. The newest addition is Invisible Woman, which actually is kind of hard to pick. I think she's definitely not D tier. She's definitely not C tier. I don't think she's B tier. I don't think she's B tier. I think she's A tier, but second to Cloak. I think she's second to Cloak. Her healing is pretty good. She lacks the range on her heal, which I think is what she suffers with the most. Her shield isn't that good. I think if it was a bubble, she'd probably be S tier. But her shield's kind of weird. Her push and pull is really good. It can really force people out of position. It can force dive characters into a really awkward situation, like Hulk trying to time a jump, he gets pulled back. Venom trying to Venom or Penny or even Spider-Man trying to swing away, gets pulled through their swing. You know, like you can even get pulled into like Warlock ult. Oh, sorry, not Warlock ult. Moon Knight ult. It kind of is like, yeah, and her ultimate also similar case to Luna Mantis. It is stationary though, so it's a bit more balanced. The invisibility part is not that scary. I think it's mostly the fact that when you go into the invisibility area, there's a massive slow. And also, yeah, it's just massive healing. It can be a bit disorienting. Sure, it definitely is a bonus. But I think having a defensive ult in this scenario, in this meta, really, really important. Really, really good. I think Invisible Woman is definitely one of the best strategists in the game right now. I think maybe Cloak clears her just slightly. But yeah, I think if she had a bubble instead of a shield, she'd clear Cloak. But I think, yeah, it literally is just her lack of range. Her damage is alright too. I mean, her damage is like similar to... I think it's similar to Luna. But yeah, I mean, she's not broken. I don't think she's broken. Her invisibility also... I mean, her self-heal is also kind of ass, actually, to be fair. She lacks self-healing. She can self-heal when she's invisible, but like, if you're invisible, you're not healing your team. So you can't, you know, do it in tandem like Luna can, like Mantis can. Like Cloak can too, to be honest. Or like Warlock. So you kind of lack that. That, I think, is my tier list for season 1. At least preemptively. Like I said, the season's only been out for a few days. Very curious what the guys' opinions are down below. Do let me know. I'm sure you all will. But yeah, I'll see you guys. I'll probably do another one later on the season just to see how things have shaken up like they did last time. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Have a good one. Be sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.